Hey guys, it's Claire Manning and welcome back to my channel. We're back today with two cards for you that you can make both at the same time, kind of reverse cards of each other, and we're going to use this lovely tropical leaves die. It's a panel die that we released a couple of months ago. So before we start, let's just get a few bits that we need prepped. I'm using Salty Leaves paper stack here. These are 12 by 12 papers. So I thought this would go lovely with this die. It's quite a manly paper as well, so it could be used for male or female cards. So I'm just chopping the huge sheets down here. I'm making a 5 by 7 card. So I just need a piece just slightly bigger than that so I can die cut out that lovely leaves die. So the next thing you're going to need some watercolour type paper or a thick type paper that you can stamp and emboss onto. So I'm using a watercolour one here because I like the texture of it, but it can be a smooth one as well, but just a good weight card, maybe 250, 300 GSM. So let's die cut out the pattern paper, these lovely tropical leaves. So you're going to get like a double tropical palm leaf effect here. And on the right hand side, I've already cut out with this die as well 2 pieces of fun foam using this same die, and I'll show you how we're going to use those. We're going to use one to stamp with and we're going to use one to give our card a bit of extra dimension in a little while. So just have those to hand as well if you've got some foam. If not, don't worry, it's not essential for the constructing the card together, but you do need a piece for this, using it as a stamp. So what I've done is cut an entire piece of foam and I've put a little low tack tape on the back to attach it to my stamping tool, and I'm using my embossing ink, the Luminosity embossing ink by my Thirsty Brush brand, and we're just going to stamp onto this piece of card here, and I'm going to go in a couple of times with that ink and make it really nice and sticky. Doing it this way, it doesn't quite give you quite as crisp a stamp as using your clear cling stamps, but it still gives a really cool effect. So I'm just going to go back in and give that a real good press. So now we've got all that lovely sticky ink there. I'm going in a second time, like I say, just to make sure that everything is covered and give it a really good press down, because it's just a bit thinner than the stamps that we use. But now we've got that done, let's come in with our embossing powder, and I'm using the Thirsty Brush Luminosity Gold Digger powder, which is a really shiny gold. Obviously when you're stamping this kind of area, it's going to take a bit more powder than your normal stamps that are just an outline, but I really think this background technique with these kind of stamps or dies turned into stamps is really worth the effect, and we are going to get 2 cards out of this. So we're still catching all of our excess, so we're not going to be using any more powder than we absolutely need to. Just making sure we've got as much as possible of that background, and then pop all that excess back in our pot. Then we'll go in and heat set that lovely design. It looks great as it is with the gold powder, but they do come up quite dull until you heat set them, and then you just wait and see how shiny and gold this powder is. I'll speed this up a little bit for you because it does take a few seconds just to go round and make sure every little bit of that leaf design and all that powder is heat set lovely. As you can see how shiny it is, and it gives a really cool background to our cards, and we can coordinate now with that lovely die cut. So this bit might look a bit strange. I'm laying over, I'm not sticking, I'm just laying over that die cut from the tropical leaves paper earlier on, because I want to cut out an aperture that I'm going to either raise up or sink down in my card, but I want to make sure it's exactly the same place on both pieces of card. So I'm going to run it through the die cutting machine and cut both at the same time. So as I say, I haven't stuck down that die cut, I've just lay it over and held down the circle die with a bit of tape. What I'm also going to do before I pop it through the machine is that background that we've stamped, I want to make sure it's the right size for my card. And what's great is that it comes with these kind of dies that we do, is these outline dies as well. So I'm going to make sure that that runs through as well. It just saves me time. I can do both cuts in one pass of my machine. I'm using a Snap electronic machine by Craftwell, but yeah, any A5 upwards size machine will be able to do this for you. So now we've got kind of an aperture and 2 circles to make our 2 cards. So you've probably guessed I'm going to coordinate the middle of that circle either or. Do you remember that foam that you cut out earlier on? I'm going to cut the circle out of one of those as well, and I just use one of the circles to kind of line up before I cut it. So again, that's giving us 2 pieces of foam, and we'll show you when we construct the card how exactly we're going to use those foam pieces to give our card dimension. So I've got 2 5x7 cards. Let's put the first one together. I'm going to use the gold background just adhered flat onto the card blank, and I'm going to use some double-sided tape here in kind of horizontal stripes to the top and the bottom. And then just to get that side piece, I'll go in with a bit of wet glue as well. If you're enjoying these videos, do subscribe and hit the like button for whichever ones you like, or if you like them all, that's fantastic. But I do look at how many thumbs up we get on the videos, and it gives me a really good guide of which ones that you're enjoying the most. And by all means, you can leave a comment as well below if there's a particular card type or technique you would like to see. Then I do read all and reply to all the comments, and I'm quite happy to add it to my list of cards as we do the videos throughout the weeks. So we've got quite a few videos on the channel now, so do feel free to have a mooch and see if there's other techniques that you would like to have a look at. So that's the gold background on, and because we're going to put this paper die cut, I just want to raise that up a bit. Because of the intricacy of the die, it would be quite difficult to put foam pads on that, so I'm going to use a tape pen just to adhere it to the foam piece that's also got the little cutouts. Don't worry if you don't line it up absolutely exactly. I think I got it slightly off, but it just gives a little kind of drop shadow effect anyway, even if it's not spot on, but it does give you an interesting texture to your raised up bit. Back in with that tape pen. I do find when you adhere things with foam, with wet glue, it tends to buckle and wave a little bit, so I do go in with tape pens or something like that for this. So now you just need to line up that die cut piece so the pattern of the tropical leaves continues. Takes a couple of seconds, but it's really worth it, and that's the main part of the card done for that one. Let's move on to the second 5x7 card, and this one's going to be the reverse. So I'm going to raise up the outer piece first. So this foam is 1mm. So again, using that tape pen on the paper, and then just line up the foam with the pattern, and then some more tape pen just to stick it onto the card. I'm going to matte and layer it onto some navy card here, so that shines through from all through the little gaps in the die cut, and it gives itself like a little matte layer as well, just to give a bit of extra dimension. And pop that aperture panel central to that. And then we've got our circle left over from where we've die cut it out from the previous. What I'm going to do with this is raise it up a little bit further than that 1mm by using some 2mm foam pads. So I'm just going to do a bit tight. It does take a second or two just to realise exactly where it sits, but then it becomes obvious and you can see. You can always get your die out and refer back to that. So just some foam pads that are a little thicker, just to raise it up more, or you could wet glue it and have it sinking into the card here. I just decided to go with the thicker foam pads. It's a really easy way to, there's no waste then. If you're cutting out circles of these panel dies, you're not chucking them away, you're using them and you're making 2 cards at the same time. So it's a good time saving thing as well. So there we go, that's all positioned there. So last thing we need to do for these cards is add on a sentiment and maybe some embellishment. I'm going to use this Hey die, which is from our special words. It's one of the smaller words in the die set, but use whatever you've got at home. Same with the pattern papers, and same with the circle and things like that, or embossing powders, panel dies. Use whatever you've got in your stash. I'm sure you can make these techniques work for whatever you've got. However, if you do want the exact same things that I'm using here in the demonstration, I always put all the links below in the description that will take you straight to our Thirsty Brush website, and everything is listed there as long as it's still in stock. So all our word dies in this special word set come with the actual word, which is this Hey that I just die cut out of this holographic, but they also come with an extra outline or a matte layer. So I'm going to cut those out of some vellum, just so when we put it on the card we can still see that lovely pattern or embossing behind. So this is a really fine word die, so I'm just using some wet glue on my hand just to pick up a tiny bit of glue as possible to position them on. You could use some tweezers maybe if it makes it easier for you. Press it on, it stuck to my hand a bit there. So yeah, probably tweezers would have been better, but don't worry about any glue squidging out a little bit. It does dry clear and you won't be able to see it once it's all dried off. So I need 2, 1 for each card, so just repeating the process. And then we'll pop those on the card as well. And I've got a few sequins here, just that coordinate colour wise, some white and some gold that I'm going to add to the card. While we're here as well, it is the 28th of May 2020 that I'm recording this today. I am back on Create and Craft on Sunday the 31st of May. So if you're around, please tune in and we'll have some demos. These lovely papers and plenty of other papers definitely will be on the show. But if you follow us on Facebook, tomorrow the 29th of May I'll be doing a Facebook Live at 2 o'clock. And I'll be showing you everything else that's on that Create and Craft show for Sunday. But I do try and pack in as many demonstrations into those live shows as I absolutely can for you. So feel free to join in the fun there. So last bit, just adding some embellishment onto those cards with some wet glue and those lovely sequins. Do let me know as well if you try this technique or any of the other techniques from my videos. I do love to hear feedback of how easy you found them, or how you made little variations and really made it your own. And we do a Thirsty Brush challenge as well on our Facebook group every Monday, where I give you a theme and you can make cards and enter, and your makes could be shared across my Facebook social medias like Instagram, Twitter, and my blog, which is also on the Thirsty Brush website. All the links to everything that we do social media wise and tutorials are all in the description below. So there we go, 2 lovely cards for you. Some hopefully a new or a recap of a technique that we use some die cuts to be able to create a stamp by cutting them out in foam and then embossing, and then using some papers that coordinate really well with the die cut and creating, I think this one would make a fantastic mail card, but you could also make it girly as well if you want, or somebody who's maybe not into the pinks and florals. Thanks for watching guys, and you take care. I will see you next time. While you are here, why not check out some of our other videos and subscribe, hit the bell, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new tutorial for you.